Hey YouTube, Joyboy here. So, chapter 864 of One Piece has dropped. So if you haven't checked out that chapter yet, I suggest that you do so, because I will be spoiling you. Now that you have, let's begin. Damn guys, I was really hoping we'd get to the part in the story where Big Mom actually starts yelling, but alas, that should be next chapter. But despite me saying this, Oda did accomplish several things in this chapter, which I find to be interesting. We will start off with the cover page, and yes, thank Jesus, we finally have an official cover story arc beginning, which is funny because I made a video about this relatively recently, suggesting that one was upcoming because this was the second longest delay between cover story arcs in the history of One Piece, and then I think it's literally like a chapter or two after that, we finally get the new cover story, and this one is about the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. And so given the recent trend of cover story arcs, it would suggest that this one is probably going to be pretty lengthy, and if you actually watched my video talking about this, it was in regards to the Reverie arc, which I talked about potentially could be a cover story arc, but with the reveal of this cover story being about the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, it makes it incredibly unlikely that the Reverie arc will be cover story focused. But this is great, don't get me wrong, because not I nor anyone else really wanted it to be a cover story arc. On average, there's about 36 to 38 cover story pages per year. And so we're already 13 chapters into the new year, which would mean that there's about 23 to 26 left. The most recent cover stories have all been 20 plus chapter cover stories, and then even beyond that, there's always a gap between the cover story arcs. And so all things considered, I think we should go back to the idea that the Reverie arc will actually be an integral arc into the story, and or be covered within the story outside of where the Straw Hats currently are, similar to Blackbeard versus Ace. But with only 23 to 26 chapters left in the new year, you really gotta wonder how exactly is all of this going to sort out with both Wano and the Reverie starting in 2017. I'm wondering if that estimate was a little bit premature. You know, I'm not a big believer in these Straw Hats running away from Whole Cake Island. At any point in time, there's so many unresolved plots that things need to happen. But at this point in time, it would seem as though if there's any actual fighting to be done in Whole Cake Island, specifically with the Vinsmoke, or perhaps defeating the rest of the Big Mom Pirates or anything, it would seem as though there's at least 10 more chapters of Whole Cake Island left to go, which is a very small window for other things to occur this year. And even as I sit here thinking about it, 10 chapters may not even be close to enough to actually flesh out an entire battle. So despite me having many reasons to argue that these Straw Hats won't run away, maybe that's the only way that this will work. Anyway, my confusion about what will happen in the future aside, let's talk about some things that were actually introduced within the chapter itself. And so we'll start off with Pudding. When I read the spoilers, a lot of people had thought that maybe Pudding was going back to being evil, but as reading the chapter along with the pictures, it's very clear that Oda is continuing to redeem Pudding and flesh out her mental struggle. Basically, what seems to be going on for me, and Sanji sort of expressed this opinion in the middle of the chapter as well, Pudding is struggling between doing what is expected of her, doing what she's told, and doing what she wants to do. Going into the Vinsmokes for a moment, a lot of people wondered where the Vinsmokes were in the last chapter since they weren't depicted at all, and from this chapter it's revealed that they essentially did nothing. They stood there and watched in shock. I say shock, but I don't think any of the actual children can feel surprise, but you know, who knows. But anyway, we flesh out Judge's character a little bit more and get more emphasis on the siblings' complete lack of emotion. And I gotta say, man, Judge going down in tears in this chapter was shocking. Poor guy just wants to see the people of the North burn. Big Mom, why you gotta do him dirty like that? Needless to say, I really enjoyed this twist on Judge's character. You know, we don't know what happened with the Vinsmoke in the past. All we know is that they were renowned upon as the mythical evil army, and that they once held dominion over the entire North Blue before getting dethroned. But going specifically into their legacy, it appears as though that is really important to Judge, so much so that he made it the sole focus of his life, and to see his dream sort of crumble before his eyes, making him burst into tears, almost would make me able to sympathize with him. But yeah, guys, if I get my honest opinion, I really don't think Judge is that bad. I just think that he cares a lot to reestablish the glory of the Vinsmoke and is willing to do anything to accomplish that. And it may be that he was almost driven to insanity to accomplish goals that are clearly not good. And this sort of goes back to his history with Sanji, having spared Sanji as though he didn't have it in him to actually finish off his worthless child. His failure. I think, though, that what this chapter emphasized more than anything else is that what he created in order to achieve this might be far worse than himself. Straight up, those brothers seem like the most evil presence at the tea party. But anyway, moving on to another interesting aspect of this chapter, Oda fleshed out further two of Big Mom's strongest subordinates, Daifuku and Oven. And so Daifuku has the Hanayo-Nao, which makes him a lamp man. And just the other day I did a video talking about devil fruits and classifying them, etc. as part of the video. And this would be another one which I literally cannot define as being related to any other fruit. It's out there. But if I had to try to describe this fruit, I think the title of Lamp Man might be misleading. Given he ate the Hanayo-Nao, which the translator says describes the billowing action of smoke, it may suggest that his true devil fruit power is less along the lines of he actually has a genie-like power, but rather he just forms a genie using his Hanayo-Nao, which can manipulate in some way smoke or some smoke-like food substance. But hell if I know, maybe he actually can make an actual genie, and maybe if he awakens that fruit, the genie will be able to give him 3 wishes. Real talk though, I really like the fruit, I like the way that it looks, I just don't know what the hell it is. Moving on to Oven. Oven's ability actually is something that we've seen before in a movie, so I'm really surprised to see Oda choose this devil fruit of power, but it appears as though Oven's devil fruit allows him to produce heat. That's just an in general very, very powerful devil fruit, and it actually lives up to his name quite nicely. And so next I want to talk about Katakuri, and so, a lot of people have questioned why exactly Katakuri's powers haven't worked really the last couple chapters, while they seem to be falling short. And the best idea for explaining this involved essentially the future being changed. Katakuri saw that the priest would not be able to shoot Sanji and thereby intervene, changing the future, which he could not observe immediately. So he couldn't see Sanji dodging his own shot. The same applies to Brook being able to destroy Mother Caramel's portrait above his notice, which is that he saw the future in which Luffy tried to destroy the portrait, stopped Luffy thereby changing the future, and he could not immediately observe the altered future where Brook was able to destroy it. And so at the end of this chapter, Capone says this to Katakuri: all you can do is see a bit into the future, but it doesn't matter because everyone has the same power to change it. Kind of a weird thing to say, however, when you consider this theory to Capone's words, the two add up quite nicely. This might be some sort of confirmation or at least further evidence towards it being true. So given everything that I said, this is sort of my interpretation of what was going on. Katakuri saw the future in which Big Mom finally went into her yelling state because the Straw Hats showed her the portrait of Mother Caramel again. Having seen this happen, white-faced, he then goes to confront these Straw Hats and prevent them from showing it to Big Mom. Therefore, at this exact moment, Katakuri changed the future. However, what he didn't see coming because of the weakness of his future sight hockey abilities is that Capone was actually working with these Straw Hats the entire time. So in his previously envisioned future in which Big Mom yells, Capone had no reason to reveal himself at that point in time. Within the 3 to 5 seconds Katakuri can see. So when Katakuri saw the future, he did not see Capone betraying them. So when he went to the Straw Hats after changing the future, he could not see Capone betraying them. And here you can enter in Capone's words at the end of the chapter. This is how this makes sense to me. And so the last thing that I want to talk about is Big Mom. And so many people had many different and interesting ideas about how exactly Big Mom's sort of rage worked in regards to the portrait of Mother Caramel, why exactly she loses her indestructibility, her invincibility when it is destroyed. But based on this chapter alone, it kind of gives me the impression that she literally snaps mentally. Like, the portrait is broken, but nothing magical seems to be happening. She's literally just getting closer and closer to losing it completely. So the only thing that you can really derive from this, if this is in fact true, is that Big Mom's invulnerability is directly tied to her sanity. Once she goes insane, for whatever reason, she loses this ability. But I honestly don't want to jump too far ahead on this because I think a lot of things could happen in ways that we can't even predict here. But anyway, guys, that's all I really wanted to talk about today. This chapter was very, very good. Several things were accomplished, and more greatness on the horizon. But let me know what you think. Let me know if you noticed anything from this chapter that I didn't talk about that you want me to talk about. Just let me know. Like the video if you liked the video, dislike the video if you disliked the video, subscribe if you want to be notified for my future content, and as always guys, have a wonderful day.